Over the last few days, dozens of channels are coming out claiming that Pope Leo is banning the Latin Mass, getting rid of the rite of exorcism, getting rid of indulgences, and numerous other wild claims. But not only are they saying this, but some are even posting alleged audio of Pope Leo admitting all this. Some are claiming he has just come out with a new dogmatic decree promulgating these and many other changes. We're going to get to the bottom of that, however, and find out if there is any truth to it coming up next on The Michael Lofton Show. So I want to just dive straight in and go into the audio that some people are posting and claiming is Pope Leo XIV. I have to say, it sure sounds like him, but of course we know things can be imitated and there's AI and all that kind of stuff out there. I mean, I've even seen videos of people having me speaking in like perfect Spanish, which I know I don't speak Spanish, but it was really weird watching a video of me speaking in perfect Spanish. Obviously, it was AI. And, we're going to listen to it, and I'm going to weigh in on whether or not this is authentic, whether or not there really is a document that has come out doing this stuff. Why are so many channels reporting this information? How are people perceiving it? Are they taking it as credible or not? All of that. I want to dive straight into the audio, however, so you can hear for yourself what they are saying. This comes from a video from a channel, one of the places where it could be found, Pope Leo XIV homily, and it is titled 12 Reforms That Will Shock You. Pope Leo XIV just changed the Catholic Church forever. And I am going to play a substantial amount of the audio. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit so I don't get a copyright strike or anything like that. So it's going to be a little bit faster than usual, but not by too much. I'm just going to go ahead and dive straight in, share my screen. Let's listen to the audio together and see if any of this is credible.
I write to you from my humble quarters in the Vatican, not from the ornate papal apartments that many expected me to occupy, but from the simple room where I have chosen to dwell, close to the beating heart of our Church. Over these past months, since announcing the 12 transformative changes that will forever alter our beloved Catholic Church, my desk has been flooded with thousands of letters, emails, and messages from faithful Catholics around the world. You have questions, concerns, hopes, and yes, some fears about what these changes mean for your daily spiritual life. Today, I wish to speak to you directly, heart to heart, father to children, addressing the most common questions you have raised. Let me explain not just what we are changing, but why these changes are necessary for our Church's survival and spiritual renewal in these challenging times.
All right, so right at the outset, what I find to be odd is, I mean, he talks about here I am sitting down writing, but then it makes it sound like this is a homily, and it's on a channel called Pope Leo XIV homily. It almost even sounds, you can kind of hear a little bit of an echo. It sounds like he's in some big cathedral or something giving a homily, but it's clearly someone reading off of, or something reading off of, an alleged script. So already that's suspect to me, right? But let's continue. Let's hear it out.
Holy Father, why are you changing our sacred songs? This is perhaps the question I receive most frequently, and it touches my heart deeply because I know how precious our liturgical music is to many of you. Let me be completely clear about what we are doing and why. The first change regarding sacred music stems from my deep concern about what has happened to our worship songs. Many Catholics have written to me saying, Pope Leo XIV, we love the contemporary music in our parishes. Why are you taking away the songs that help us feel close to God? My dear children, I am not taking away music that truly brings you closer to God. What I am addressing are songs that, while they may stir your emotions, actually distance you from authentic encounter with the divine. Let me explain the difference. When I visit parishes around the world, I have witnessed something troubling. Songs that were originally created for entertainment, romantic love, or secular purposes being adapted with Christian lyrics and presented as worship.
Okay. All right, this is actually real. I mean, that what he's describing there is real, right? I mean, there's kind of this joke where you take these R&B melodies and songs, something that was meant to be, love songs between a man and a woman, and just scratch out the lyrics and put in there, something about Jesus, and then it becomes a praise and worship song. I think that's what's being described here, and perhaps there is some legitimate criticism there.
But the spiritual DNA of these melodies remains unchanged. They carry within them the intention and energy of their original worldly purpose,
Mm,
true sacred music.
mm,
Like the Gregorian chants that have echoed in our churches for over 1,000 years,
hmm.
was created specifically for divine worship, born from prayer, designed to lift souls toward heaven, not to entertain or manipulate emotions.
Oh, okay. Now let me just stop there and say this: if this isn't real and this is AI, this should be real. Pope Leo should say this. I'm just saying, y'all.
When David played his harp in the Old Testament, evil spirits fled. This is the power of authentically sacred music. But when we sing worldly melodies with Christian words overlaid, we often find ourselves singing about God while our hearts are moved by rhythms and harmonies that were designed to evoke very different feelings.
Okay, now that's interesting. Now, skipping ahead a little bit, he's going to talk about reforms to the clergy, getting rid of the luxurious lifestyle that many in the clergy have. Take a look at this part.
Clergy must abandon luxury, many asked. How does my bishop's car affect my prayer life?
Mm.
The answer is profound. When church leaders live in ways that contradict gospel poverty, it creates scandal that hardens hearts, makes the gospel message seem hypocritical, and places barriers between souls and authentic faith. When you see your pastor driving a vehicle that costs more than your annual salary, or living in accommodations more luxurious than the homes of struggling parishioners, a seed of cynicism is planted. You begin to question whether the gospel we preach is something we ourselves believe. This
Okay, so you know what? Again, setting aside the question of whether this is authentic or not, which I'm going to weigh in on here in a little bit. Um, this actually sounds like it should be authentic, right? If this is made up, it should be real, because I actually think that there's some legitimate points that are being made here. Um, okay, but let's continue.
cynicism poisons your relationship with God because it makes you doubt the authenticity of his representatives. But when you witness church leaders who have genuinely embraced gospel simplicity, who share the struggles and limitations of ordinary faithful, who demonstrate by their lives that true treasure lies in heaven,
Mm,
your heart opens more easily to divine grace.
mm.
The credibility of their message increases your receptivity to God's love. Similarly, our return to traditional confession methods strengthens your relationship with God by ensuring that your encounters with his mercy are authentic and transformative. Digital
Mhm.
confession might seem convenient.
Wait, digital confession. So digital confession is not allowed in the Catholic Church, just FYI. So I was a little thrown off by that part.
But it lacks the human warmth, the sacramental presence, the healing power that comes from genuine human encounter blessed by Christ's real presence through his ordained minister. When you kneel in a traditional confessional, speaking your sins aloud to a priest who embodies Christ's mercy, receiving absolution through the ancient words and gestures that have carried God's forgiveness for 2 millennia, you experience reconciliation not just as information exchange, but as profound spiritual healing. Pope Leo XIV. Why are you selling our church treasures? This question often comes with deep emotion, and I understand why. These sacred objects represent centuries of Catholic heritage, gifts from kings and queens,
Hmm.
artworks that have inspired millions.
Stuff that was also stolen from other countries during the Crusades. But okay.
How can the Pope simply sell them? My beloved children, let me share with you the moment when God made this calling clear to me. I was praying before the Blessed Sacrament in my private chapel, surrounded by priceless artifacts, golden vessels, jeweled crosses, when suddenly I heard in my heart the voice of Christ saying, Leo, while you pray, surrounded by gold, my people sleep hungry in the cold. In that moment, I understood with piercing clarity that we had reversed Christ's priorities. He who was born in a stable, lived without possessions, died naked on a cross, has been honored by his church, accumulating treasures while his poor suffer in need.
Almost sounds like St. Francis of Assisi or something, right? There's some interesting points here. Of course, the common response is going to be, but hey, look, in the Old Testament, God had rich, ornate temples and all that.
These beautiful objects were created to honor God, but the God we honor is the same Jesus who said, "Whatever you do for the least of my brothers, you do for me." When we sell a golden chalice to build a hospital, we are not dishonoring God. We are honoring him in the most authentic way possible.
Didn't Pope Paul VI sell or donate for charity or something like that, the papal tiara? I think he did that, Pope Paul VI.
The treasures we sold were not essential for liturgy, not items needed for Mass or sacraments, but excess accumulated over centuries while human beings made in God's image lacked basic necessities.
Huh?
This contradiction had become a scandal that weakened our moral authority to speak about social justice. Now, when we talk about caring for the poor, we speak not as those who merely offer advice from comfortable distance, but as a church that has sacrificially demonstrated its commitment to gospel values.
Okay, now the Latin Mass is about to be addressed next. Okay, let's see what's said.
This transformation of our words into deeds strengthens every Catholic's witness in the world. Holy Father, what about the traditional Latin Mass? Many traditionalist Catholics have written asking whether these changes mean abandonment of our liturgical heritage, while others wonder if we are moving backward instead of forward. Let me address both concerns with equal love and clarity. The traditional Latin Mass is not merely nostalgia or resistance to change. It is a legitimate expression of Catholic worship that has nourished millions of souls for centuries.
Oh, mic drop.
The spiritual depth, the sense of sacred mystery, the connection to our ancestors in faith that this liturgy provides cannot be dismissed or ignored. However, neither can we ignore the pastoral reality that the vast majority of Catholics have found spiritual nourishment in the renewed liturgy of Vatican II, which has brought the gospel closer to people's daily lives and made participation more accessible to ordinary faithful.
Huh.
My solution is not to choose sides in this unnecessary war, but to embrace the truth that our Catholic tradition is rich enough to accommodate both expressions of worship.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh boy. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Should both forms be allowed to continue to endure side by side together? You know, is the church capable of facilitating the riches of both forms of the liturgy? What do you think about this?
Provided they serve the ultimate goal of bringing souls closer to Christ. The conditions I have established, requiring vernacular homilies in Latin Masses and full participation in diocesan life, are not meant to burden traditionalist communities, but to ensure they remain connected to the living church rather than becoming isolated enclaves. Similarly, encouraging rosary prayer and Eucharistic adoration in all parishes acknowledges that these traditional devotions contain spiritual power that transcends liturgical preferences.
Let's skip ahead a little bit to the 12-minute, 34-second mark, where there's going to be discussions about separating church from state. Huh? Watch this.
Leo XIV, why separate church from politics? This question comes from Catholics across the political spectrum who fear losing the church's voice in public discourse. Let me clarify what we are doing and what we are not doing. We are absolutely not silencing the church's prophetic voice on moral issues. Our clergy will continue to preach boldly about social justice, the sanctity of life, care for creation, concern for immigrants and refugees, opposition to war and violence. These are not political positions, but gospel imperatives. What we are ending is the corruption that occurs when church leaders become partisan political players, when bishops endorse specific candidates, when parishes become campaign headquarters. When the gospel gets filtered through political ideologies, we lose our moral authority and divide the faithful. The church's role is to form consciences, not to dictate political choices. We teach the principles, you apply them in your voting decisions. We proclaim the values, you choose the candidates who best embody those values.
Yeah, it's not really the traditional Catholic perspective and the way popes have usually done things historically, but okay. Skipping ahead a little bit here towards the end, around the 21 14 minute mark. People ask him, "Where are you leading the church, Pope Leo?" Watch what it said.
All your questions. I sense this deeper inquiry. Where is Pope Leo XIV leading the Catholic Church? What do you hope to accomplish through these dramatic changes? My vision is simple yet revolutionary. I want to restore our church to its apostolic authenticity, stripping away centuries of accumulated human additions that obscure the gospel's clarity.
You know there's going to be some Protestants who hear this and love it.
Returning to the radical simplicity and sacrificial love that characterized the early Christian community. I envision a church where every parish truly cares for its poorest members, where clergy live as servants rather than princes, where our worship authentically connects hearts to heaven, where our young priests are formed by real pastoral experience rather than theoretical study alone. I dream of a church whose moral authority is unquestioned because our lives match our teaching, whose social justice advocacy is credible because we have sacrificed for the poor, whose call to holiness is compelling because we ourselves pursue sanctity rather than status.
Oh, mic drop. This is again from a channel called Pope Leo XIV Homily, 12 Reforms That Will Shock You. Numerous channels online are posting this. We're going to take a look at another one here in just a second, but okay, let me stop there and offer a couple thoughts. First of all, is this really Pope Leo XIV? I can say 100% this is not Pope Leo XIV. It's completely AI. So obviously, you can tell by the way in which it's written, by the pauses and spaces. Sometimes the sentences don't begin at the right point and the sentences end at the wrong point. It's clear that this is AI. Moreover, do I even have to tell you this is nowhere on the Vatican website? Okay, there's nowhere where he gave this in a general audience. There's no Vatican document. There's no homily backing this up from any official channels. This is 100% fake. I'm horrified, however, by looking at the comment section and seeing how many people thought this was real. One commenter says, "This left me in tears, tears of hope. Leo XIV's reforms aren't just policies, they're spiritual wake-up calls." Another person says, "Wow, this is a truly bold and transformative vision for the Catholic Church. Pope Leo XIV's courage to make these 12 profound reforms shows a deep commitment to authenticity." Maybe the comments are also AI. "I thank the Lord for you, dear Papa. I am really grateful to God for these changes you urge from your faithful and religious." Another one says, "May the Holy Spirit guide and protect Pope Leo XIV in every step of these important reforms." Another person says, "Pope Leo, would you please require all Catholic charities to be run through the Vatican?" So they seem to be taking it seriously and think that they're even interacting with Pope Leo on some kind of official channel. Another person says, "This is the Pope I've been waiting for. Now, if we can just get his words to touch the hearts and minds of leadership of every country." I mean, and it goes on and on and on. And again, maybe some of the comments are made up. You never know. So some of them look like they're real accounts. And I've been around enough to know how easily people can be influenced by fake material. I have not only seen that and demonstrated it on this channel, I even ran an experiment on this channel showing that to people with the Our Lady of Monroe apparition video. Good times. Now, I looked and saw numerous other channels posting stuff along these lines. Some of them are very clearly AI voices, but they're all popping up saying the same stuff. And it's making me wonder, what is going on? Is there some kind of coordinated effort on part of a person or on part of AI to create fake accounts promoting fake news? What in the world? Before we take a look at some of that fake news, though, I do want to point out with that homily, You know what? Even though it was completely made up, there were some elements in there that were really good, and maybe actually should be adopted by Pope Leo the 14th. And honestly, even though there's some parts in there that I think you could contest, when I listened to that, I thought this is one of the best homilies I've ever heard. But the sad reality is, one of the best homilies I've ever heard is a fake AI homily. Like, what's up with that? Why is it that regular laity are writing amazing homilies and you can't get stuff like this? And whatever, maybe Pope Leo the 14th though does need to see that video and maybe adopt this for his encyclical that he's going to be coming out with at some point soon. Now, I want to show my screen and show you. I mean, again, there's stuff all over. For the first time, Pope Leo the 14th outlaws 12 ancient holy rituals, believers in disbelief. Some kind of channel called Teachings of Grace. 63,000 videos. This stuff was sent to me because the person who sent to me, I think, thought it may be real at first. And I pointed it out, well, none of this is on the Vatican website. And so it's clearly all made up. Look at this one. Pope Leo the 14th uncovers 12 sacred traditions declared forbidden. Pope Leo the 14th's faith, according to this channel. Breaking, Pope Leo the 14th abolishes 12 sacred ceremonies. Another channel. A different channel, Pope Leo the 14th cancels ancient Vatican ritual. Another channel, Pope Leo the 14th bans popular Marian devotions and bishops. Another channel, Pope Leo the 14th just crushed the Latin Mass, the end of tradition. Another channel, Latin Mass canceled by Vatican. Pope Leo sparks outrage. And there are many, 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 many others. I just typed this in Google and started seeing dozens and dozens and dozens of channels posting this stuff. So it's a little concerning to see that. And I look through comment sections and people are believing it. They accept it. They're not verifying any of this. Now watch this. This one is wild. One of them is saying Pope Leo the 14th just came out with a new document. They even give the name of the document. And they give the 12 things that he's reforming. The Latin Mass, he's getting rid of that. He's getting rid of indulgences. He's getting rid of purgatory. He's getting rid of the Corpus Christi processions. Like, they're getting really specific, painting a really descriptive picture of the scene of the Pope unveiling this document, and all the cardinals are just in shock, and people are going for it. Like, I look at the comment section, they're 100% saying, wow, this is incredible. Or, oh, I can't believe it. He's such a modernist. And some people love it. Some people hate it. But watch this one. Let me know, by the way, if you have any difficulties hearing the audio. You share my screen. Watch just a few minutes of this with me. I'm going to speed it up just a little bit. And let's watch just the intro together.
And millions of Catholics has just unfolded within the Vatican, an event so astonishing that it has caught theologians, bishops, cardinals, journalists, and millions of Catholic faithful across the world completely off guard. As you watch this moment, the Catholic Church is living through a silent earthquake, not one that shakes the stones beneath our feet, but one that reverberates within the depths of the soul. Only a few hours ago, Pope Leo XIV affixed his signature to a doctrinal decree of global magnitude entitled Sacrorum Ritus Abolitio.
Sacrorum Ritus Abolitio. And they gave it an actual Latin name. And the average person who watches this, they don't know their left from their right. They don't even know where to go to verify official documents. So they're going to believe it, right? And they are believing it. Now, I already knew this was fake news, because if any document, let alone a document like this, came out, I would have known about it before this guy or anyone else had a chance to do a video. I would have known about it weeks in advance, certainly way before this person would be posting this. So I already knew this just 100% isn't the case, but I also went, verified Vatican website, no such document exists. But listen to this. This is fascinating.
Or the abolition of certain sacred rites. Although the text itself is relatively brief, its effect is seismic, undermining more than 1,000 years of liturgical and disciplinary tradition. Within its pages, the Holy Father has proclaimed something unprecedented, the immediate suppression of 12 ancient ceremonies that for centuries formed the heartbeat of Catholic spirituality. These were solemn rites, repeated faithfully in parish churches, vast cathedrals, remote monasteries, and magnificent basilicas throughout the world. They molded the faith of countless generations, infused daily life with meaning, and sanctified the most significant passages in a believer's existence. Yet as of today, they may no longer be celebrated not by priests, not by religious communities, and not even by the faithful in private. The ban is absolute, and the reasons cited in the document are as uncompromising as they are unexpected. The announcement has spread like wildfire. Letters of protest circulate. Entire communities are left in confusion. Bishops speak of betrayal, while others interpret the gesture as a long overdue purification of faith. To grasp the scale of what is happening, we must turn to the list itself. Today we begin with the first two
Cardinal Renzi. Okay, let's listen.
abolished ceremonies. Ceremony 1. The Corpus Christi Procession. For over 7 centuries, the Corpus Christi procession was among the most vivid, colorful, and widely attended expressions of Catholic devotion.
So they're claiming that this document says that the Corpus Christi procession has been abolished, no longer allowed, and people are panicking, thinking, is he denying the real presence of Jesus in the Eucharist? Skipping forward a little bit to the 4-minute, 19-second mark.
Exorcism. If the abolition of the Corpus Christi is even more profound. Ceremony 2. The public exorcism. If the abolition of the Corpus Christi procession struck a painful chord, the second decision ignited an outright firestorm. With one stroke of the pen, Pope Leo XIV has abolished public exorcism as an official rite of the Catholic Church.
So the rite of exorcism was abolished, but they're describing it as the public rite of exorcism. Well, let me just give you a hint, person who is writing these AI videos. No exorcism is done publicly. So you wouldn't call it the public rite of exorcism. You would call it the Roman rite or the Roman ritual, right, for this particular exorcism, but you wouldn't call it public because it's always done privately. So you can even just tell by the language that's being used that this is all just made up in the minds of some imaginative person. They then say the funeral rites of purgatory have been abolished as well, which I don't know exactly what that is. I mean, there's funeral rites, and of course there's the doctrinal notion of purgatory, but I don't know of any funeral rite of purgatory. And then they also say, indulgences have been just completely abolished. So honestly feels like maybe this is some Protestant who made this video. That's what it comes across like that to me. But it's ideologically different than the other one of the AI Pope Leo XIV that we just previously heard, but they're saying the same stuff. 12 ancient rituals abolished, whereas in the fake AI homily Leo, he actually sounds Catholic, whereas this person sounds Protestant to me. And yet, from two ideological perspectives, they're sharing the same fake news. So that tells me there's multiple people behind these fake AI accounts. And again, 63,000 people saw that one. There's a lot more to it. I just gave you just a quick sample of it. And, one person in the comment section right away catches that, the Catholic Church doesn't issue its statements through social media. Like they're picking up on the fact that, this document isn't real. Another person is like, oh, I love Pope Leo XIV. He's speaking on my behalf. This is right up my alley. More prayers needed for the universal church, one person says. Another person says, I don't know how accurate this video is. They have a hunch that this might not be accurate. Another person says, yeah, I'm skeptical. Another person says, Pope Leo is right. Adoration and humility, not grand showcase. And all sorts of comments. A lot of people assuming the legitimacy of these accounts appear to be buying into this and believing that it is real news. And look, this further points out the problem that I've been pointing out for years now, and how gullible people are and susceptible they are to fake news. Whether it just comes to secular politics or whether it comes to ecclesiastical church matters, either way, the vast majority of people don't verify information. And so if they say, oh, the Pope came out with this new document, And here's what it says. Here's what he's saying. They just go with that. We saw that with Fiducia. We saw that with Amoris. We saw that with numerous other cases. Whatever criticisms we have of them, we saw how many people had misunderstandings on some points. We saw that with the Pachamama thing. Again, whatever criticisms we have of that, we saw a lot of fake news promoted with that situation, among many others. And I pointed out, and I really became sensitive to this when I saw people spreading fake news about me. But not only that, when I saw somebody, a huge, high profile Catholic content creator, retweeting and reposting an alleged apparition of Pope Benedict XVI's ghost coming to an anonymous nun and telling her that he was actually murdered by Pope Francis and his previous secretary Ganswine. They murdered him, and they go into all kinds of descriptions on how Pope Benedict was murdered and how Pope Francis is really a fake pope and how X, Y, and Z, and the Latin Mass is the true Mass. Communion in the hand is the only way to receive communion, and the Latin Mass should only be done in Latin because Latin is more sacred than anything else. And we saw like 1,000 things being promoted in that one video. We saw a really major Catholic content creator, one of the biggest ones online, promote this and retweet this. Now, he took it down after I exposed that this was a fake apparition that never happened. I pointed out where this originated, all of that. And, people could just kind of quietly swept that under the rug and pretended that they didn't actually promote this wild stuff. And I showed, wow, I can't believe so many people believe this was real. And in the very video where I was exposing that this thing is fake, people were all in the comment section insisting, oh no, this apparition is real. And so I even performed an experiment of my own. I came up with a fake apparition and literally told people, by the way, this is satire. It's not real. I literally told that to people in advance. By the way, what I'm reading to you is satire, to prove a point. Y'all aren't even listening. Y'all aren't even paying attention. I could straight up tell you that this is satire. You're going to ignore that and listen to everything else that I said. And I talked about the dumbest, wildest things possible. The ancient aliens created the human race, and they came down in their spaceships and they mated with humans, and then they created the prophets of the Old Testament, and then the CIA is trying to cover all of this up. And I thought of the dumbest, most wild things that you could possibly conceive of. I thought of it. I put it in there to make it painfully obvious this is satire, despite the fact I told people it's satire. And do you know how many people still came away thinking this was real? It's like, y'all are proving my point. You can literally have somebody tell you that this is not real and satire, and you're still going to believe it. That's how susceptible and vulnerable and gullible so many people are. To use biblical language, they have ears that want to be tickled. They want to be told these things. They're looking for something to substantiate their biases, no matter how ridiculous they are. And when they find something that backs it up, they latch onto it and they run with it. They don't actually verify, is this real? Is this authentic? Or if they have hatred towards Catholicism, anything that paints it in a bad light, they latch onto it, run with it, and don't verify, is this actually real? Did this really happen? And so if they hear of a document where the Pope is making massive reforms, they just latch onto it. And hey, it has a Latin name, so it's got to be legit, right? Look, if it's this easy to fool people, we're in trouble. We're in serious, serious trouble. So I bring this up to show to people this is a massive issue and to make you aware of this kind of fake news. I don't believe any of this is legit because I've confirmed from the official sources there's no general audiences with an overall of anything, let alone 12 ancient traditions. There's no abolishing of the Latin Mass. There's no abolishing of indulgences. You couldn't even do that as a pope because indulgences are taught dogmatically. Even a pope can't reverse dogma. So this is inconceivable. in the Catholic Church. So I verified none of this information is real, but I'm disturbed by seeing all of these different accounts that seemingly come from different ideological backgrounds and therefore may not be, um, you know, done by the same person, but numerous accounts promoting outright made up material and not telling people it's made up, but just 100% made up, fake homilies with Pope Leo's voice. This is scary, and you need to be aware of this. So the next time you hear, oh, there's this big, huge change coming, or oh, this is from the Pope, go and double check it. See if it's on the Vatican website, because, what you might be coming across is propaganda for one reason or another, promoted by one of these fake accounts. What the motivations are, maybe they think it's a joke. Maybe they have ideological motivations behind it. Whatever the reason, be aware of this stuff, because it looks like it's becoming incredibly prevalent. Because when I get to the point that people are messaging me saying, hey, is this real? What's going on? What is this document? Well, that makes me concerned, because that tells me there's a lot of people out there that are being reached with this material, and they might need some guidance in determining what is authentic and what is not. So, if it's not on the Vatican website, it's not being published by Vatican News and Vatican.va, stuff like that, you can likely know at that point, most likely this is not authentic. This is not real, because if it were official, it would be listed under the official acts of the Pope on the Vatican website, and there would be the Vatican News as well as credible Catholic, there's not a lot of those, rather, let me rephrase that, not credible Catholic media outlets, but just standard, well-known Catholic media outlets. They're not credible, as I've often shown many times, but that's a discussion for a different day. Anyways, I hope this is maybe helpful in making you aware of some of this stuff out there. And if you come across people saying, oh, did you hear about X, Y, and Z? The Pope is doing this. Maybe send this video to them to help give them some guidance. If you appreciate this video, this message, this content, or anything else that I've done, you've benefited from Reason and Theology in the past, hey, please hit that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. Let's make this video go viral, because unfortunately, the fake videos are going viral. The fake news, the fake homilies, the fake alleged documents abolishing the Latin Mass, all that's going viral. But I couldn't find anything correcting this misinformation. Nothing. Not one video. So help me make this video the one that gets out there in front of people so that they know this isn't authentic. Somebody asked me, how do we verify? Again, Vatican.va is a great way, the actual Vatican website, or Vatican News. If you had something like that, those official sources would be posting on it immediately. I also want to make you aware where I offer my courses on the Magisterium and church history. If you want to learn more about the Catholic Teaching Authority, its history, how to evaluate magisterial documents, just a basic overview and introduction to the Magisterium, the 7 ecumenical councils, exploring difficulties and tensions in the magisterial documents. I got courses on everything. And these top 3 courses right here, Introduction to the Magisterium, the history of the Magisterium, and how to evaluate magisterial documents, are the exact courses that I offer at a Catholic university. So these are Catholic level videos and courses offered and made available to you now. So go to rtcourses.com. R is in reason, T is in theology, courses.com. Go and check them out. If you purchase one at the time of checkout, you will get 50% off these other 2 courses. So take advantage of that, because if you don't take advantage of it at checkout, you'll have to pay full price when you come back later for those courses. So if you want a university level education on the magisterial without breaking the bank, this is where you go. So rtcourses.com. There's also some free resources on there that I think you'll appreciate. So go and check that out. rtcourses.com, and consider supporting this channel by becoming a patron on Patreon. You know, it's not free to run this channel. Definitely have a lot of costs to be able to run Reason and Theology, and also this is how I provide for my family. So if you appreciate the content that I offer every day faithfully, free content every day, if you have benefited from that content and you want to see more, I need your help. I need to hear from you. rtcourses.com would help if you go and purchase there, or become a patron at patreon.com/Reason and Theology, or just hit the join button right here on YouTube, right next to the subscribe button. And even hitting that sub button, hitting the like button, and leaving a comment goes a long way with helping the algorithm reach new people. All right. Thank y'all so much. It's going to do it for today. We'll see you later.